I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains here in the Colorado Reich and Dragon House studio. Today I wanted to bring you up to date on a project I've been working on here. That's a Luth-AR chassis, a Magnum Research barreled action Maven scope. Now I got this chassis a couple of years ago from Randy Luth, and I used it as a speed rifle. It's about a 2-pound chassis. And it was excellent hosting a speed rifle, Tactical Solutions rifle. And then the Magnum Research Custom Department built this gun. It is a Magnum Research SwitchBolt, which means you can put the bolt on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. Of course, the left-hand side is where it always should be. And a tensioned carbon fiber barrel, their own muzzle brake so that the timer can pick up your shot, and their own trigger group. I wanted to use their trigger group. So at the SHOT Show, John Howard, a good friend of mine who works for Car Arms and Magnum Research, said, you know, you could make it an accuracy rifle as well. Basically, Magnum Research sells it as a speed rifle, and it's been used by some of the really great champions in Steel Challenge, in Rimfire Challenge. But he goes, I think it'd make a good accuracy rifle. So I said, okay. And that made perfectly sense to use the Luth-AR. It's an MBA chassis. Like I said, it's not very heavy, 2 pounds, maybe a little more. Look at the adjustability. Cheek piece up and down, adjustable length of pull. You can also adjust the butt plate in the back. You got M-lock on the front, M-lock on the sides. One of the changes I did here is that's an Arca rail, or as Really Right Stuff asked me to do, it's a RRS Arca rail that's fitted to it. I believe the Arca rail itself is from Caldwell. The other thing I did was I liked the trigger. I liked the trigger pull on it, but I hated the magazine release, which was a button that you had to push up. So there was a certain fumble factor. Now, usually I would use a Tactical Solution lever, but once again, on the Magnum Research trigger guard, you'll see it's a different shape than the typically rounded Ruger trigger guard. It's basically a Ruger 1022 type action. So this is a Power Custom magazine release. It's easy. It took almost 2-3 minutes to install. Scope on top, you'll see that the Magnum Research gun comes with a Picatinny rail, but it sits, I don't know, maybe a little better than a 1/4 inch above the receiver. This is a 5-30 Maven RS4. It is, to me, the best NRL 22 scope I've ever used. The reticle is framed, so you got little lines right around the reticle. You can crank the parallax down to 20 yards, which is important in an NRL 22 match. So I've shot maybe 200-300 rounds through it. It'll shoot one-hole groups with 10X, Ely 10X, and SV rifle long-range match. But we're going to be doing better than that even. So you'll see much more as I work through this. When we come back, Snubs. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Hunters HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. MTM Case Guard. Quality shooting sports accessories. And Luth-AR. Are you ready? Genuine US-made AR parts. Welcome back to Triggered, and here's a bunch of snubbies, which I guess maybe we should call them like a murder of snubbies. How about that? I wanted to show you a couple of grip options that I've been working with and that I plan to use in a Daryl Bulkey, Brian Eastridge class a little bit later in the year. The first of these is this hook type from Hammerforge. Hammerforge is a great resource. They do printed grips, and they have options for a number of other snubbies. The advantage of this hook, and Daryl Bulkey showed me this at the Revolver Roundup, is when you draw a snub from the pocket, and let's say you hear the sirens coming and you really need to holster it. Ideally, if you're going to pocket holster a gun, you need to take the holster out of the pocket, put the gun in the holster, put the holster in the pocket. This way, you can just actually hook the gun into your waistband, into your belt. It makes it easy. And they're very, very reasonably priced. These other grips, are none of those things. This is from D&L Sports, and the idea with this was to shrink down his K and L frame Smith & Wesson grips into a J frame Snubby. Now he kept this kind of upswept beaver tail, which is great. Also, you see this little bump here is for Mr. Pinky. It gave me more control over this 22 snub than I've ever had before. It is a great grip for shooting. It will work in the pocket depending on the pocket. You can see another couple of options. Bill Rogers made a set of grips that was very much the same idea. Mr. Pinky had to have somewhere to go. Finally, I wanted to show you an oldie but a goodie, and I still think maybe is the very best grip for a defensive snub you're carrying in your pocket. And those are Crimson Trace Bantam grips. So it's a laser grip. Let's see. You can see there the laser. It buys something with the Snubby. It buys a little more distance. It's a really great grip. There are other options. There's roughly a million and a half Snubby options, and I keep trying different ones. So, what do you guys think? And when we come back, I'm going to show you a little bit more from the NRA show in Atlanta.
The STK series blends the advantages of a striker-fired pistol with everything you love about your 1911. The STK 100 Ultra has an updated frame with more aggressive side grip panels and checkered front and back straps. We didn't stop there. The optic footprint is now larger, which means even more options for your favorite red dot. The new STK from Island Armory. Experience the power and precision today.
You know, we talk a lot about technology here at the NRA Show 2025. We generally think that applies to guns. And then sometimes we go like, okay, it applies to electronic stuff. It also applies to something as simple as a bipod. This bipod, Tricer, this is a great bipod.
Yes, it is.
Because if you look here, you've got long legs, you've got short legs, you've got different attachments. You know, most of us are using some sort of ARCA type rail, but a lot of people have other attachments and you pay for those.
You have to pay for them.
But this bipod, everything comes in and it weighs how much?
As it's set up right here in my hands, which can go from completely prone to 30 inches tall, 15 ounces.
It weighs like a feather.
So you're from prone to 30 inches tall in that much time, and then again, yeah, it comes at for $349. You can mount it on any rifle you have. You've got a quick attach, ARCA and Picatinny head, as well as a Picatinny to sling swivel adapter for guys and gals that are still running just an old school standard stock.
One of the interesting things about something like a bipod is that everyone starts out with a bipod that costs $19.95.
Yes, sir.
And then later when you break it, you get a bipod that costs $79.95. Later you will break that. Ask me how I know these things. I have a stack of dead bipods in the gun room.
Absolutely.
And this guy is a serious step up.
Absolutely. We always say buy once, cry once.
Buy once, cry once.
So
technology works. And really, don't buy the $19.95 bipod. You're not going to like it. It's going to suck. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
That's it for this week. As always, you can find links to everything I talk about here on michaelbain.tv. You can find our video on YouTube. For a while, you can find us on Rumble. You can find us on X. And on the michaelbain.tv site, where we're always free. We will see you next week.